you've got to go and just paint the stuff that's important to you and not worry about the cool thing you just saw on Instagram and go and try to copy it. You know, you can just paint the corner of your room. It doesn't have to be something that's in vogue or everybody's doing this, let me try to do that or whatever. You know, you can just go in the backyard and paint your fence. Like, not literally paint your fence like a Karate Kid, but like, you don't have to go far to get inspiration, but you should get inspired by your life and the things around you.
Welcome to the Bold Brush Show, where we believe that fortune favors a bold brush. My name is Laura Oren-Gobert, and I'm your host. For those of you who are new to the podcast, we are a podcast that covers art marketing techniques and all sorts of business tips specifically to help artists learn to better sell their work. We interview artists at all stages of their careers, as well as others who are in careers tied to the art world in order to hear their advice and insights. On today's episode, we sat down with Paul Batch, a contemporary artist with a love of painting beautiful atmospheric landscapes. Paul discusses his journey as an artist, including how he discovered his passion for painting after being inspired by a professor's portrait. He talks about the challenges of balancing art and life, the importance of persistence and resilience in the face of rejection, and the value of having a support system. Paul shares advice for aspiring artists, emphasizing the need for financial stability, continuous improvement, and a willingness to take risks. He also advises aspiring artists to focus on painting what is important to them and not get caught up in trends. Finally, Paul tells us about his upcoming workshops. Welcome, Paul, to the Bold Brush Show. How are you today?
I'm good, Laura. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to have you. I'm so happy to have you also because I love your work. I think your work is definitely, I can tell that you've worked so hard to reach an incredible point because I have interviewed people who have self-learned, and you're one of these self-learners that I truly admire because it takes a lot of work to paint such beautiful work that you have, especially like your portraits and your still lifes. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm happy to have you.
That's very nice. Thanks, Laura. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. I mean, like, I think we're all a self-learner to some extent, but like, I mean, I went to school and everything. Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to say like I'm a self-taught artist.
Mm.
Those people like to really carry that badge, and I don't want to take it from them.
Of course. But I also mean that you definitely have that academic touch to your work that you see mostly in people who have studied in like ateliers or like academic schools. Like I would have thought you studied at one. So
Oh
I think
yeah,
it's extremely commendable. Yeah.
I get that, but like, I went to a regular. Am I? You just tell me if I'm rambling. Just try to shoot me the other way. I went to a regular, like, I went to art school,
Mhm.
so it was a good mix of there was painting, there was drawing. I had some really good teachers. There was a couple good teachers who were really
Mhm.
like, the realist sort of route. And then the painting department had an awful lot of throw shit on the floor and express yourself, sort of all that kind of stuff too. Learned a lot with both. I don't want to poo-poo on one or the other. I just had a
Mhm.
direction to sort of work in more of a traditional realist sort of mode. But I do appreciate the abstract education that I did get. I don't want to poo-poo on that too much. Did I get more than I wanted? Yes, in terms of that kind of content. What else was big too? The what do you call it when you like dance around the gallery in your diaper? Performance art was still big, right?
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of that still. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, dancing around in the gallery with a diaper on. I was a freshman watching this, going like, really? This was a senior thesis thing. So yeah, my education sort of
Yes.
encompassed a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so you've seen a lot of different time periods of painting going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I also mean it because usually in universities it's very difficult to get any type of technical skill in terms of painting if you're trying to be a realist painter. I think it's one of the hardest ways to gain any technique is to go there unless you're doing like illustration or something akin to realism, but in I guess like a more modern sort of adaptation, kind of like illustration.
absolutely. When I went to school, I was like convinced my parents I could go. I was like, hey, I can draw Spider-Man or something. I can be an illustrator because I was like a big comic book nerd.
Mm.
And I went to school, and then they have like they hang up student works. They have teacher shows, faculty shows and stuff, And I was looking at the illustration department, and I liked what they were doing, but later I was like, I can get all this in painting and then more, I thought, So I didn't like the aesthetic look of like what was coming out of the illustration department, I guess. And I thought painting would just be harder. So I was like, I'll do that. I, I I didn't see myself going to school to become a painter, but
Interesting.
that
Yeah,
happened after like freshman year, and I'll just go right into it now too. So, like
sure.
my freshman year at college, they had the faculty exhibition, and it was later on in the year, but walked around the gallery real quick. You do a quick scan, and you go to the pieces that you sort of gravitate to or whatever that attract you. And there was a small portrait by one of the professors there, Stephen Brown. And I hadn't met him. I didn't know who he was. It was a small portrait, but man, it like hit me in the gut from across the room. And I went up to this thing and I was staring at it, and it was just awesome. It went beyond, oh, wow, this looks like somebody. Yeah, truck outside. Anyways, it went beyond like, oh, this looks like somebody. And it was deeper than that. And I was I was like, if I can do this, if I can make somebody feel what I'm feeling right now with an image, that's it. That's the goal. I was like, that'd be amazing. So that like got me into painting and moving beyond Spider-Man. Not that there's anything wrong with Spider-Man, but I just wanted to find more through art. And that was like my way sort of wake up call. And it was funny too, because like in the image, he had this really harsh shadow on his neck. It's like a form killer almost, like almost a line. So I'm looking at this wonderfully rendered head, and I'm like, what the heck's wrong with the neck here? So I didn't see him for like another year. I couldn't take a class with him for like another year or so. And I asked him like, you know, it was a nice portrait, but like, what's with the neck? You know? And he kind of looked at me like I was a dork, but which I kind of am. But he pulled his shirt down, and he had all this massive scarring because he had all these neck issues as a kid, and he had a massive surgery, and it had a big impact on his life. And he started talking about all that and stuff. So made it even better. You know what I mean? Just so I'm running off on a Stephen Brown tangent here, but he was the
Good.
teacher that got me into painting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool to think back to that point like that because it's such a turning point for you, right? Because you were in one path and then suddenly you're at the right place, the right time, exposed to the right thing, and suddenly, oh, painting,
Yeah,
painting. Oh my God,
absolutely.
I got to
Right,
do
right.
that. Yeah.
The hand gesture helps, right? Painting, it's
Yeah.
different.
So-
Uh,
Oh, and actually, before we continue talking about your work, by the way, do you mind telling us a bit more about who you are and what you do?
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're totally good.
Yeah. So I'm Paul Batch. We already said that, but
Mhm.
I'm an artist. I don't currently have a real job, although I am always afraid that I'll have to go back to work someday. Um, what do I do? I work with about a half dozen galleries up and down the East Coast. I send paintings to the galleries, and hopefully they sell them. They sell them. They don't sell all of them, but they sell them. And what else? I do teaching. I do workshops. I don't do a ton. I have one coming up in the fall. I don't even have a date yet, so don't even can't even post a link or anything. But what I do enjoy is I do a lot of like online videos and stuff
Mhm.
out of uh out of here. And so that's been a lot of fun. But yeah, primarily I'm a painter working in the traditional gallery sort of system.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and I did see your YouTube channel. You post actually pretty regularly.
You, ah, I don't know, like, right? And I got like a video of me like, oh, with a stupid face. Like, I don't want to do that stuff. So the YouTube video, it's very much a work in progress. The editing
Mhm.
takes so long,
It does.
like I've got backed up found videos and stuff. So, yeah, you got to try to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And you get sort of pulled in all kinds of directions. It's tough, but I really do enjoy that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I like being in front of a camera, even though maybe I'm a little awkward at it sometimes. But like, I did a lot of musical theater as a kid. Like I've always been an art kid. I can't hit a baseball to save my life. So
Oh man.
growing up, I always drew. I would write like little notes to my teacher, like, please excuse Paul from going out to recess today. He don't feel good. And I was like 7. So I'm sure like the teacher was like, whatever. Eventually they threw me out. But yeah, I've always been the art kid. I had a
Oh,
fantastic high school art teacher, Mr. Devine. He was awesome and he helped me like get through school, which was cool. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it seems like it is something that you like definitely live and breathe and just art, like in all of its ways, because obviously musical theater is one thing and then painting is another, but they do have that overlap of some form of emotional expression, right? Which is what we usually do with painting, which is pretty cool. Would you say that other art forms have also influenced your work, or do you mostly just focus on other painters or other artists when it comes to your personal work?
I am trying, I don't know. I'm trying not to be influenced by too much right now and
Mm.
just do my own thing and continue to find out what my own thing is. I think my wife just came up. So yeah, I've been heavily influenced over the years by other artists, like copying other artists, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm 45 years old now, and I'm just trying to like find out what Paul Batch is before, the clock goes up. But yeah, in terms of other arts, not really. I enjoy going to a show or something, but I'm not as, no, I don't know. I'm not as cultured as maybe as I should be.
I think you're doing great. I think you're doing great. But yeah, I see what you mean, and also what you mentioned about, still finding yourself within your work. I think that's definitely a lifelong pursuit anyway. That's something that takes a lot of time and self-reflection and really diving into your work, which can be challenging.
Yeah, and what's the point in trying to find meaning in it? Like, uh, I work with commercial galleries. There is a specific type of thing I need to do in order to maintain that position. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I don't just get to get up and paint whatever the heck I want every day. Do I get to paint what I want? Absolutely. Um, but for the work part, like I have to make sure I'm there. There are some restrictions. You know what I mean? I can't just like take a left turn and start doing something totally off brand or whatever at this point. I mean, I can, but it's going to be difficult to sell to the galleries. Do that whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't.
that's
I
a
hope
tough
I don't
part.
sound like I'm complaining because it's really a good deal. But
No, it's
yeah, it's work.
the yeah, it's the reality of working with a business, right? Where
Yeah.
they're expecting a certain output and you have to provide that output. And then if you change the output into something else, it could be risky. Like the gallery might say, we won't take that one, but we'll take some of your old stuff, right? Like there's a bit of like a balance and a dynamic that goes into working with galleries in that sense, which is fine because, like you said, you're still painting something that you wanted to paint anyway, right?
Mhm.
Which is what counts. I mean, there are so many people who would want to be in that position of like, I want to paint what I like and also make, money working with galleries while I'm doing that. So I think that's excellent.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great gig. Uh, I'm glad I got it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, um, I'm not like being mean or anything. I'm just,
Yeah.
clarifying that it is natural to feel that inner conflict, right? Of like, I'm working with a gallery, they want this from me. And if I want to go in that direction, then, I have to weigh out other options, which is a very, very normal thing to have to do.
I had to make a decision. So like
Mhm.
when I was young and in art school and like smoking cigarettes and all messed up all day and everything, like I thought I'd be like some kind of cool artist when I got older. But as I got older, I you have to have priorities and
Mhm.
I wanted to have a family, wife, and kids, um, and I wanted to be an artist. I didn't want to, I've had lots of jobs throughout my life. I haven't had a ton, but I've had a few really good ones that also allowed me a lot of time to paint. So, I mean, that was huge early on. Um, I worked at a school for the deaf for like 10 years. And for about half of that, I was the dorm guy after school. So the kids would come after school, and I was like the big brother, make sure they go to wrestling practice, basketball, do their homework, that kind of stuff. A lot of fun. I went back to grad school during that time. I was able to keep that job, which was full time, full benefits, and everything. I went to third shift. And so I would go to class during the day, and then third shift, I'd come in and I would just paint all night while the kids slept. So I was able to collect a full paycheck and everything and just paint all night. I was tired, I didn't sleep, I was miserable to be around, but I was able to make it work that way. And it's been a lot of that, like trying to find a way to balance like surviving and keep painting because that's like the hardest thing to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that, diversifying income aspect of being an artist. Which I'm rooting for you to get your YouTube channel monetized so you also get some stream of income in there because that is so worth it. And you're very fun to listen to. So I think it's a great fit for you as well to also
Thanks.
pursue, that other passive income possibility, which is great. But yeah, I was gonna ask you actually how you slept, but you answered my question. I guess you didn't sleep during that time because you're taking third shift and then you're also like in school all day. Like when do you sleep?
I would sleep sometimes at work.
Oh,
Shh,
there you
don't
go.
tell them.
Yeah, it's not like they can do anything about it anymore.
Like 20 years ago. It's not like I wasn't caught either.
Yeah. Well, oh, ouch. Oh man. But
I was very fortunate to have that job and those people there were fantastic.
yeah, and it's a great opportunity. I mean, I think also that highlights, how as artists when you really want to do the thing, you will find a way to do the thing.
Yeah.
Like there's no stopping a person who is absolutely dead set on something, and I can see that in you and in your work and in how you've pursued your career, which is really beautiful to see. Um, and also, I wanted to ask you, I know that we already talked a little bit about finding your voice, but I kind of wanted to circle back to that for a sec and ask you, because you've also, taught workshops and you've had some students. I wanted to know what advice you would give to someone who's trying to find their own voice.
It's tough when you're learning. And I think I see some people and they get hung up too much about a style early on or how something's supposed to look, and you're just supposed to learn how to paint. It takes long enough to learn how to paint. If you say your question again, how do you find your own style or no?
Your voice, yeah.
Your own voice, right?
Mhm.
So I you got to go and just paint the stuff that's important to you and not worry about the cool thing you just saw on Instagram and go and try to copy it. You know, you can just paint the corner of your room. It doesn't have to be something that's in vogue or everybody's doing this. Let me try to do that or whatever. You can just go in the backyard and paint your fence. Like, not literally paint your fence like a Karate Kid, but like, you don't have to go far to get inspiration, but you should get inspired by your life and the things around you.
For sure. Yeah. And that's a great point. And also, the mm, the amount of stuff that everyone is exposed to on Instagram, seeing other people's beautiful work that took them months and it feels so instant to us, seeing it for the first time. It's like back to back to back, as if, they painted all of this in one sitting in one day or in 1 hour,
Right.
where in reality it probably took them months, and then on top of that, years before those months to even get to the skill level to even be able to paint like that, right? There's like, I think it's very understated how long it takes to reach that point. And also I love that you mentioned, like not falling for seeing these things and getting quote unquote seduced by them into your own work. I like that you
Well,
mentioned that.
I'm saying that because I know I got to fight that too. Like, oh, that looks cool. Let me go try. No, like just do
Hmm.
you, try to do you. It's hard. My,
Yeah.
yeah. And everybody knows, I don't know if everybody knows, but like, all the years of practice up until that point, I did a workshop not a workshop, I did a demo at a local art club or something years ago. And my wife was there and somebody, I was like done, right? I go up there for an hour and I did this thing. And then this woman asked, she's like, how much would that sell for? You know? And I was just starting off and I was like, I don't know what I said. It was under $1,000 though or something. It wasn't like I didn't throw out a big number or anything that I didn't think was a big number. And she was like, oh, I said like $400 and she's like, what? It just took you an hour to do that, And I was like, it's been like, 15 years of practice and this hour, just to get to here. So it's not it's tough because yeah, like you said, you watch the videos and it's like 30 seconds, this masterpiece happens and you're like, holy cow, I feel like crap about myself. But it's a lot of
Yeah.
work behind it.
There is, yeah, there's years and years and years of hard work behind it. I mean, it's the reason why people say, like when you pay for a good doctor, you're also paying for that doctor's experience, right? And it's
Yeah.
kind of funny that people don't also apply that to the arts. I mean, maybe it's easier to see it in a musician because obviously a musician has to perfectly learn their instrument and they practice for hours a day just to be able to play one song, right? Um, but it's the same for painters. It's exactly the same for painters. The difference is, a musician might be playing a piece that isn't necessarily theirs, just like we might be able to do a master copy, but we're also composers, right? We're also how to, use color, how to use light, how to use texture. Those are all things that happen in music too, but they also happen in painting. And I think it's very underappreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. All of it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So you did mention that you had a couple jobs here and there, like most of us do when we're artists. What was it like for you when you finally, became a full-time artist and you made that jump?
Okay, so that's scary, right? That's a big leap.
Hmm.
I was fortunate. I didn't just like cut the cord and be like, I'm gonna be an artist. That's it. I'm done. I didn't do that. We because it's scary, and I was scared. Um, I got married. I'm still married to the same woman. Her name's Tammy. She's not right there, but she's in there somewhere. Um, and we got pregnant, and we had everything all set up. Our whole life was all set. We had a nice big home. We each had full-time jobs. We're like, great. We're going to get a nanny to come live with us. She's going to watch the kid. I did not have a big job. I was making like, I don't know, 35, 40,000 a year or something. And my wife was doing far better than me. And I think it was like day one of the nanny actually having to work. Like she had lived with us for like 2 months. And then day one of the nanny working with us, she was like, I can't do this. And she's gone. It's just some young girl, and it was just more than she could handle, and she just left. And was like, okay. So I came home. I took FMLA, and I stayed home with Paulie. My son's got the same name, Paul. And my wife went and worked. And as my FMLA ran out, we were like, okay, I'm just going to stay home. I had I was selling paintings at a furniture store and down at the local art league once in a while. That was it. I had some way to generate some income, but it was like my wife was with me and she said, F it, Paul, we were just going to try this out and we're going to see how it goes. And I said, all right, cool. So it was baby all day. And then wife would come home. So my wife was working all day. And then she would come home. And then when they were sleeping, again, I would paint because you can't paint with a newborn. It's too much work, too much. But from there, I was able to paint myself into like a better situation. what I realized early on was that I don't know how to sell paintings. I still do not know how to sell paintings. I can't sell a painting. Every once in a while, I sell a painting, and I'm always boggled by how that happened. But I knew I needed help. I didn't have anything around me that would help me. There was a small gallery in the area that I could get to. So eventually I got into that thing, by just going and talking and hey. And then I knew one person whose stuff was on the wall, so I acted like they were my best friend, you know? Yep. And, that's a way to sort of weasel your way in, it's at least it starts a conversation. And I've always been a fan. So like
Mm-hmm.
I love to go to galleries and look at art, and I love art, and I follow all these people online. And I'm sitting at the kitchen table painting every night and trying to get here and stuff. And what got me from my local art club to moving on into like higher level was that I started following David Casson online on like Facebook. And this is a long time ago. His boy was small, like I don't know, but um, he got in some drawing magazine and stuff. And I looked at his what he did, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. So and it was very nice of Mr. Casson. He posted his materials list, so I went and I bought all that stuff, and I was teaching portrait painting at the local art league, and I was like, all right, so, I set something up, and I worked, I don't know how long on this drawing of this woman, but it came out good, and I sent it to the Portrait Society of America show, and I got in there. So I got to go down to Virginia or Atlanta. I think it was in Atlanta that year. And I had got in. I was like the top 20. So it was like really big deal. I showed up in a hoodie and everybody was wearing like jackets and I was like, oh God. I went right to the store and I bought like something that made me look like an adult. And it didn't work, but
Oh
so
man.
I'm sitting at the bar in the hotel and David Caston like comes up next to me and he's like,
Oh my
hey.
God.
And I was like, hey, and I was like, I was celebrity struck, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I couldn't speak words. And I had just spent months like trying to emulate this guy, and like, in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this. And now I see him and I feel so scared. And I look at him and I go, oh my God, I'm sorry, I can't talk. It's like meeting Bruce Springsteen. And then I felt wicked dumb. I was like, oh God, why did I say that? It was this horrible experience. We had a few beers, which was great, and then he ended up meeting his wife that night, and he had better things to do, so that was good. But like, that got me into that show, and that was like a big
Mm-hmm.
step. And then I got in there, and I felt like I snuck in with a drawing. So then I went and I wanted to do a painting. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody here did a painting. Oh, plus when they did the awards, I was a first name called, so that's like first loser. So I was like, oh God, like, wow, I made it that far, but I'm the first one. Like, I don't even get to like be excited about it. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to get in there with a painting and like, I can do this. Sat at the kitchen table, babies, painted up this portrait of my friend Nick from uh, who I had worked with previously. Got in with that. So now I got in there twice. Again, my name was called first again, but like whatever. So I am not taking anything from that because I'm very proud that I got into those shows.
Yeah.
But because it's difficult. But yeah, no. So I got into those shows. That got me magazine exposure. It got me lots of exposure, which I was then able to take and turn into a gallery job, which was fantastic. Because like, hey, I'm in a magazine is way better than like, hey, my stuff's hanging on a clothesline down at the local art league. I mean, what I realized was that you have to make something of yourself before you get to the gallery. It's the gallery doesn't want to just take somebody off the street and then start from scratch. They want to see that you've put in the work, you got to earn your stripes. Like I, it's what I tell people. It's very discouraging because everybody wants a quick fix. I want to get in there. I want to do it. And there's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of quality art being made. But
Yeah.
yeah, you got to earn it. in some ways, right? Not everybody
Mhm.
earns it the same way. Everybody finds their own way. Some, it's all different, but that was how I sort of got there.
Amazing.
And then I
Oh.
switched to landscapes because I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be a portrait painter. I had tried to do a couple commissions.
Mhm.
Sorry if I'm not supposed to say hell,
No, you're
but
good.
you can bleep me out. I haven't dropped an F-bomb yet, so we're good. Uh, what was I saying? Oh yeah,
Portraits.
portrait painting. Yeah, so after that, so I'm like, whoo, I'm like this portrait painter. And like I did get like a couple of people call me. They're like, hey, I saw your thing in the magazine. You want to paint my portrait? And those worked out
Mm.
horrible.
Ooh.
I felt like one was like a man was crying, and I was like, oh God, you know, I'm never showing anybody anything again until it's finished. One, like, I learned that lesson because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I don't know, I was supposed to show the process and make this big dragged out thing about it or something. I don't know. Learned a lot, learned a lot. And then I was like,
Mhm.
I'm going to do landscapes. And I was like, that can't be too hard, right? Blue stuff on the top, green stuff on the bottom. You're halfway there. I'm like, I can do this. So I I didn't drop the portraits, but
Mhm.
I didn't want to pursue it as a vocation. I still do portraits.
Mhm.
I just painted a, I don't know, I think my daughter. Yeah, I think I just
Mm.
painted my daughter. Like but they're for me.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll sell them, but I don't care. If I'm doing a portrait, I'm doing a portrait for me. I can go show it somewhere if I want or whatever, but that's like that's a thing I do on the side. I will take commissions now. If anybody is out there and wants a commission, you call me. We'll try it. We'll figure it out. But that said, no, I don't really pursue it that way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I saw the landscapes and I was like, no, I can make money doing this. People buy these things. I can do this. And then I found out, holy shit, that's really hard to just go from
Yeah.
trying to do flesh tones to making good landscapes.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Yeah. I mean, just the color green
The color
comes in
green,
so many shades.
nobody likes green.
At BoldBrush, we inspire artists to inspire the world because creating art creates magic, and the world is currently in desperate need of magic. BoldBrush provides artists with free art marketing, creativity, and business ideas and information. This show is an example. We also offer written resources, articles, and a free monthly art contest open to all visual artists. We believe that fortune favors the bold brush. And if you believe that too, sign up completely free at boldbrushshow.com. That's BoldBrush show.com. The BoldBrush Show is sponsored by Faso. Now more than ever, it's crucial to have a website when you're an artist, especially if you want to be a professional in your career. Thankfully, with our special link, faso.com/podcast, you can make that come true and also get over 50% off your first year on your artist website. Yes, that's basically the price of 12 lattes in 1 year, which I think is a really great deal, considering that you get sleek and beautiful website templates that are also mobile friendly, e commerce, print on demand in certain countries, as well as access to our marketing center that has our brand new art marketing calendar. And the art marketing calendar is something that you won't get with our competitor. The art marketing calendar gives you day by day, step by step guides on what you should be doing today, right now, in order to get your artwork out there and seen by the right eyes so that you can make more sales this year. So, if you want to change your life and actually meet your sales goal this year, then start now by going to our special link, faso.com/podcast. That's faso.com/podcast. Oh man. But yeah, wow. Wow. I kudos. Kudos. That goes to show, and I was going to ask you too, like, having that pressure of, being there for your family, do you think that that also helped you find that path for you? Because, you obviously made use of free resources online, which is really great. I mean, David Casson, he's great. He put, a lot of artists actually, they put their palette online and they'll say a little bit of what they do, which is really great. Everyone, please take advantage of that. But also, like, do you find that you did have like some sort of like internal motivation or like, not pressure, but yeah, internal motivation because you're like, well, I'm gonna stay at home. I might as well make this art career work properly. Do you find that that helped you also get, get you to do stuff?
Having that time, my wife gave me that time. Absolutely. Without that,
Hmm.
no. I'm still working and painting on the side. No,
Right.
that time afforded me everything.
Yeah.
And there are times where like I'll take it for granted and I'll get lazy sometimes. But no, it's I'm always very thankful that she gave me that time. And she likes it now too. She works a lot less now. Now she's like, now she wants me to take care of everything. And I want to. I'm projecting in case you can hear me. But she's just like, I just want you to do better at this point. So
Yeah.
I mean, I wish she didn't have to work at all, but
Hmm.
she still has to work. But we're doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to have that support. I think you bring up a very good point, and I've mentioned this in past episodes as well, where there's a lot of support from the person's partner, or their spouse, where they'll have a day job, and then the guest is usually an artist and they work, and they also mention how thankful they are for that support, because it really is. It's also, gosh, it means a lot because, like you said, you were able to get that time and you had the energy to be able to get your foot in the door of more galleries, which is a huge deal. And the way you did it is so cool. I love that you mentioned how you felt like you snuck in there, because that is such a common feeling for a lot of artists where they have this imposter syndrome, right? And
Right.
that's something else I've mentioned a couple times on the show, where we always feel that way, but I think it's because we're always moving the gold bars a little higher every time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I still don't. Yeah. What do you call it? Imposter? I'm gonna have to look. I've heard
Imposter
it
syndrome,
before.
yeah.
I've heard it before, but I don't know enough about it. But yeah. Um,
Yeah.
it's been hard for me to say, like, when someone's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And it's like, "I'm an artist." Like it took years for me to spit that out and not like, and be serious about it, because it's
Hmm.
like it's such a like a what is that? But
Oh man.
yeah,
I think a lot of people, when you tell them, at least in my experience, they always seem very fascinated. Like, I think maybe 50% of the time they're like, whoa, that's so cool. And then the other 50% are like, oh, like almost like you just do doodles or something.
right, yeah, or right, I don't know what they think. I
Yeah.
don't know what they think. I didn't come from a family that had art or knew anything about art or whatever. So I totally understand the whole like,
Hmm.
you know, yeah. I tell
Yeah.
people I'm kind of like Bob Ross with less hair and less famous. That's pretty much kind of like what I am. Hence the hat.
Oh, for now. Oh,
No, but at least it's like I paint landscapes and stuff like that. So I just,
yeah.
I don't know. My wife's always saying I'm that self-deprecating to a fault or something like that. So, but
I can agree. I can agree. I think you should give yourself a little bit more of a pat on the back. I think Bob Ross would be very proud of you. Um, he would be like, "Yeah, he's got some happy landscapes."
right, right, happy
Yeah,
tree. I know.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I also wanted to ask you, what would you say is one of the biggest challenges you've faced in your career as an artist that you've had to overcome or are still overcoming?
Biggest challenge.
Mhm.
Biggest challenge is doing it. Keep being able to keep doing it. There's a lot of people who would like to have my job and are, I mean, better skill wise and things like that. There's always somebody new and up and coming that, would like to take your position. I don't know if it's that, I don't know. I feel like it's that competitive. So like, I don't know. Maybe that's in my head. But yeah, I think just keep going is the hardest part.
Mhm.
I don't have much to say on this.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I think also from my experience and the experience of hearing other artists, they do mention that it takes so much dedication and motivation, and you go to one show and then it's over, and then it's like oh, time to do it again, right? You have to also roll with the punches and be, you know, aware that the only way you can keep going is if you keep going, right? It's all dependent on you and not on like some external factor most of the time.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
especially, I mean, I still get rejection now. Like, and there's like, would I like to move up?
Hmm.
Sure. At some point, would I like to, I don't know, maybe do a museum show or, have like, that kind of thing? That'd be awesome, and what kind of
Yeah.
work would I want to do for something like that? And my head's starting to go to these places now because I'm getting a little older and like what I want to say through my landscapes and my portraits and things like that, that becomes more. But early on, yeah, you got to be able to get rejected constantly, all the time by everybody you know. Your family's going to reject you, your friends are going to reject you, the person that owns a gallery is not even going to talk to you, like I that stuff early on is really difficult. You got to just get okay with it. I didn't come from an area where there was galleries or I don't come from an income bracket where people buy actual art. Um, so I had to kind of learn about that stuff, and in school, all that stuff was dirty. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Hmm.
It's like, I want to sell, I want to be an artist. It's like, no, 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 just, I don't know, get a grant, go live off of some commune or something and paint pictures. And it's like, it wasn't going to fit me. I didn't want to do that stuff.
Hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just, I didn't, sugar. I just lost what was in my head. What were we talking about?
I lost it too.
Yeah.
I'm being
I'm
honest.
good.
But it's great. It's great. We were talking
Oh, the
about
rejection. The
yes,
rejection.
rejection.
Yes. Lots of rejection. So feel free to cut me off at any time.
Oh, you're good.
Uh, I'll just throw a couple things out there. So early on, like I'll bring up some of my more painful moments. Um I was at the local art gallery. It's in West Hartford in Connecticut, and
Mhm.
I had been there for a couple years teaching and doing stuff or whatever. But anyways, so they're having one of these nights. It's a fundraiser night, and they're like, "Hey, Paul, you want to go paint outside, and then we'll raffle off your painting at the end." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds fun." I would do anything for them at that point. I was like, "Absolutely." So I go out there. My wife comes. We weren't married yet. I don't think we were married. I don't know. We might have been married. No kids yet though. So I'm out there and I'm painting, and a couple people come by, and you know, painting's done, pop it in the frame, you got to go stand up, you got to auction it off, right? I know maybe like 30 people in the audience. Nobody wants to bid shit on my painting. So they got me standing up there next to the thing I worked on, and like the price drops, like, and I'm still standing there and nobody wants to bid, and I'm just got that stupid look on my face, like, fucking kill me now, I am done. Just let me go die off in the corner somewhere. This is the most horrible thing in my life. Nobody wants to pay like $200 for this thing. Like, seriously, like the cost of the frame. No, nobody, it's not even worth it at that point. So I mean, I did all kinds of stuff like that early on, just trying to put myself out there, just because you got to go out there and people got to tell you no, and you got to take it and you got to say, I don't care, I'm going to get better tomorrow. Frick this. Um, my the gallery I work with now the most is probably is Addison Art Gallery at the Cape. Um, Helen, if you're watching, hello. Uh, I love telling this one too because this is 9 in sign language. We don't do 3. This is 9. So it took me 9 years of emails to this woman before she would talk to me. So every year while I'm at home with the baby and trying to like, hey, I can do David Casson, sure. While I'm in that headset, I'm like, I was getting American Art Collector and some of these magazines and stuff, and I saw a painting by Paul Schulenberg that I liked, and it was a bathrobe hanging off a door. No big deal, right? But the light's hitting it nice. I like the way it's painted. And I'm reading the article, and he seems nice. And I noticed the gallery, and then the woman working at the gallery, Helen, she owns the gallery. It's her gallery. And then I see them again in the same magazine. And I'm like, and I started to put it together like, wow, she's really working for this dude. Like, I need a Helen. I need this woman, you know? So I ended up having a list of about 20, 25 galleries that I would email every like 6 months or so. And I would just send out all my paintings or whatever, all my, portfolio images, send them out. Nobody responds to those things, what would be nice would be like, hey, not bad, try back next year, those kinds of things. I was like, oh, somebody said something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, after 9 years, and I never went there before. That's my problem, right? I didn't go to the gallery, right? Anybody now who wants to get in a gallery, you have to take your butt and you have to go into the gallery and you have to say hello. And you tell them up front you're an artist and you're just here to look, you talk, and you just go to the openings, you make friends with the artist. I think that's still a good way to get into galleries. I did this cold email stupid thing because I was, whatever. After 9 years, she sends me back an email and says, hey, we're having a paint out, I don't know, next month. Why don't you come? It wasn't like, hey, your paintings look fantastic. I love your work. It was, hey, we're having a paint out. Why don't you join us? I was in Connecticut. She was at the Cape. It was probably like 5, 6 hours. I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to get a hotel. I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, do I do this? And she's like, well, yes, you do this because right now you have nothing. The furniture store you were showing artwork at has long gone. The kids are in diapers. So I'm like, okay. So we slept it. We got 2 kids at this point. I go up there and it is an all-day interview. Now, it's not an official interview, right? I get there, there's a paint out. I don't do these things. I had almost very little plein air experience at the time. So I go there and because I just paint on my kitchen table and stuff like that. So, anyways, so I go there and you have to go sign up in the morning. And I go, hi, I'm the guy, and she's like, cool, go. Here's some places you're going to paint. I had no concept of the Cape at all. I was just happy it was like a gray, rainy day because I hate green and I can do gray rain and like, right, yes, that mood. I can do that mood. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I go and I paint and I say hi to people. And I don't like to say hi to people. I've gotten way better at it. But like at the time, I was just like, I want to be an introvert artist, leave me alone, that kind of stuff. And I had to go paint on location, come back at lunchtime, show her what I did. I get sent back out to go paint some more. But looking back, it was all the interview. So it was meeting the other artists. It was working and talking with her that day. It was jumping through whatever hoop she wanted me to jump through because we had an exhibition at the end of the day where we hung up our wet paintings and we stood there and, did that whole thing, which is all new to me. I do not feel comfortable standing next to my artwork, smiling and saying, hey, look what I did. I do not like doing that. I would much rather talk about anybody else's work in the gallery except mine. I've gotten better at it, but at that point, I'm an idiot about these things. And she was making people come and talk to me. So now I'm talking with like collectors from the gallery, her friends, these people, and um, I assume they are going back and giving her the thumbs up or the thumbs down as to like, hey, this guy's a jerk, or oh, he seems nicer. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, my wife was in the parking lot with the 2 kids. It was getting near the end, and I'm like, can we go? The kids are like restless.
Mm.
So it's like, fine, it's almost over. Let's just go. I get in the car. We start driving down the road. We got a long ride back to Connecticut. Helen calls me up because there was no like goodbye or nothing. I don't know. And she's like, hey, there's somebody here that wants to talk to you. Where'd you go? So I just turned the car around. I was like, hang on, I'm just outside. Went really fast back to the place, ran inside, talked to who she wanted me to talk to. And then thank God I did because then after that we were good and like I was in. But what I didn't realize, like, wow, so that was a long Helen story, but
Awesome.
that was my in. That's how I got in there. And then once you prove yourself at a gallery, show you can do the work, you do the work, other galleries notice, the more exposure you can get through other venues because she helps promote me. So I get in the magazines once in a while now, thanks to her and things like that too and stuff. So, I mean, all that really helped elevate me out of my kitchen. So, I mean, I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect the interview day to be like that. That was just a wild day. And I look back on that really fondly, but I was a mess.
Oh man, hindsight is 2020, but that's awesome. That is again another very great uh anecdote that demonstrates your dedication. Because 9 whole years, that is wow. That's awesome. That goes to show, it's just keep going. Like don't give up. If you really want to work with that one gallery, just keep annoying them until they invite you, and then suddenly you're with them, and that's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, and it's tough though because they get hammered with
They do.
applicants and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't hate on them. I would see how much they get hit, and they're invested in their people.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
tough. I understand how tough it is.
Oh, for sure. But then also like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? I mean, there are sure I'm guessing they got bombarded with emails, but probably not always by the same person, right?
Yeah.
For many years. So that also goes to
Right.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it also goes to show that it's worth, you know, trying over and over and over. Like sure, it's the definition of lunacy, but that's kind of what we do as painters anyway.
Yeah. If I never sent those out, none of it happens. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And again, the support of your wife telling you just do it. That's
Yes.
really
Yes.
important.
Yes,
Yes.
because I was like so cheap and broke. I'm like, I don't want to spend the money for the hotel. You know what I mean? No, I am this stupid. I will not, So
Mm,
I needed her to give me that little kick and say, no, no, go do this.
hmm.
It's huge.
Hmm. Yeah, and it paid off,
Yes.
obviously. Now you can afford the
Yes.
hotel. Yeah.
And now we can afford the hotel. I'm going back to
Yes.
the Cape next week.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it out there. And I love the people out there. And
Hmm.
I've never lived on the Cape, but I've spent so much time at the Cape now and at the gallery and just getting to know the landscape there, the environment there. Um, I
Hmm.
love going in the off season. It's just a beautiful thing, and the collectors are great out there. And I've made long lasting relationships. We talk outside of the gallery and things like that. I mean,
Oh,
it's really a nice thing. I feel so blessed to sort of be part of that now, and to have that in my life. It's nice. I don't want to get choked up here, but like, yeah, no,
yeah.
it's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's very meaningful because like you've mentioned that you were never really exposed to any of this. You were never really like a part like naturally like from, childhood. You were never really in the arts in that
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
right? So it's very meaningful when you can become a part of, this thing that feels almost like a family. It feels very like a wholesome community. Because then it makes it a lot easier to be accepted and then to accept yourself and to also be exposed to other artists who might be going through the same things that you are. And then you realize, wow, we're all just going through the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and my relationship with Helen now is fantastic.
Hmm.
Um, I can really count on her.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it gets hard.
Hmm.
Sometimes I don't sell a painting for a long time, and I can reach out to her, and she will try to help me. Like
Yeah.
to have somebody like that, that's huge.
Yes. We all need a Helen.
Yes, we all need a Helen.
Yes, especially if you want to work with a gallery. You need a Helen type of gallery.
Yeah.
Um, which is great. Um, and then also, what advice would you give to someone who wants to become a full-time artist?
It's like you gotta have, I mean, you have to have the passion motivation to be better all the time. You can't accept where you are and think like, hey, I'm good, I'm done, because then you're dead, right? I don't care how good you are or whatever. Like you gotta keep trying to be better. It You can't do it to a fault though, where it's like, where you're hating on your work too much, but um, you don't want to be satisfied too early with what you're doing either. So that part's hard. And
Yeah.
but that's like the work. But in order to be an artist, like I, if you come from a wealthy family, it's going to be a lot easier. If you don't, you have to save money. Like, just like the major thing I stress to people is like save money, um, because you need it. And so yeah, I mean, even now, like I can go like a couple months and no paintings sell, and that's like the scariest thing in the world. I have to sell a lot of paintings every year to maintain, food on the table.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I have saved some money so that when that happens, I can still eat, and not freak out too much, because it's also very hard to paint when you cannot pay your bills,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, the credit cards are jacked up or the rent's due or something, and I'm like, doo, 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 like you can't get into the place you got to be, it's like maybe I should just grab a shovel and dig a hole for somebody so that I can get pizza this weekend. I don't know, like.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, like I said earlier, having that job, having some sort of, you gotta have a support system around you in order to do it. It's not easy, but and then just be fine with being rejected all the time. Know that you're never good enough. What else horrible things are there? I don't know.
Oh man, that's great because it's true.
Yeah, really selling
It's
it, aren't I?
yeah. I mean, it's the harsh reality. No one does this. No
Yeah,
one does this for the money. Is one thing that I've heard people say, and it's true. I mean, we do it because we love it, and it might suck sometimes, but we keep going.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But that's hard to sell. You scroll through
Yeah.
Instagram, and I hate these sort of like reels and stuff or whatever, where people are like, oh, how I make six figures as an artist by like not doing anything, or whatever. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like there needs to be a PSA that like they're targeting artists for money,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody who's doing that I have no respect for, because artists are broke and trying and vulnerable and easy prey, and so like they want the validation. They want someone to say, "Hey, you're having a hard time. I got the quick fix." And I
Mhm.
that stuff does not make me happy.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's
it
hard.
is, it's hard, it's hard. And I think and I agree, I think those people who are doing that are scammers.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, uh, we need money. We need money to live. And a lot of young people fall for those scams. But yeah, yeah, there's just, to your point, yeah, having that support system and just keep going and find yourself a Helen, or learn to sell your work. Those are all
I'm
very
so
important things.
fortunate though, because now I have Helen, I have Mary, I have Anne, I have all these wonderful people who are helping me, and it's great. Helen was first though, so like
Hmm.
that's where my heart is. But I've moved down here in Georgia now, and I work with a wonderful gallery, Anderson Fine Art, and she's fantastic, and they put me up, and like we do a workshop down there and the paintings. It's all great, So, but yeah, you
Yeah,
got to have some kind of support system in there.
for sure, for sure. And then speaking of your workshops, actually, do you have any upcoming workshops that you'd like to promote?
I I have one coming up in the fall at Anderson Fine Art. There is no date yet, but if you want to go to my website and
Mhm.
sign up for my email list, then I will let you know when that happens. We do not bombard you. We come at you once a month, because once a month I do a Zoom demo out of the house. So it's like an hour and a half, and I will step by step a small painting of whatever subject matter we pick that month. It's what I pick. I say we because my wife's a big part of that though, because she edits it and makes sure that people can hear each other, and
Aw.
so I like to do it live.
Mhm.
So we don't get a ton of people live. We'll get like maybe 20, 25, I don't know. But you can get a replay too, and a lot of people just opt for the replay. But yeah, so if you go to my website, and I think it's under videos or Zoom demonstration. I should have had that ready. Whatever. But yeah, you can come with those. Those are fun. I charge $20, so don't be surprised if you get hit with a bill. Like that's how much it is. But
Mhm.
that was just something that came out of COVID, Where prior to that, I would go to the local art club and like do my shtick for like an hour, do the demo. Hey, how you doing? And when COVID happened, we couldn't go out, so I started doing it online. And COVID well ended years ago. So, but we're still doing
Mhm.
it, and it's a ton of fun. So I'm going to keep doing these as long as people keep coming. I love doing them, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great. Um, and then what is your website?
it's paulbatchpainting.com.
Perfect. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I get more inquiries about painting houses than I do anything else, but
Oh no.
I'm just kidding.
Oh man. Oh, you're hilarious, Paul. Well, Paul, do you also have social media, and do you want to say what your YouTube handle is as well?
On YouTube, I'm Paul Batch. On Instagram, I'm also Paul Batch. That's where I'm usually the most. I do some. I don't do a lot on TikTok. I've been trying to just hit them all, but it's just time consuming. But yeah,
It's
I'm usually just Paul Badge.
perfect. Awesome. And then I'll include all of your links in the show notes as well.
That would be
Um,
better than me just being like, "Duh, I'm Paul Badge." Yeah,
well, I mean, if someone's already like looking for it, it's a lot easier.
yeah,
But yeah, they can also just check out the show notes for the links, in case they want to do that instead. But yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Laura. This has been great. You're a pleasure
Yeah,
to speak. Thank you.
yeah, you too. You're hilarious. I was laughing the whole time. Oh man.
Should we say bye now?
Yes.
Got it. All right. All the best. Take care.